Welcome here to TownHall Heroes, episode number 159. I'm Solid. We've got Dunk Train Bakery and that jam. I will always pause for that nice little jingle that exists in the song. Dunk and Bakery are like, Jake, why'd you stop talking? Why'd you stop talking? They can't hear the sweet jams, but you can. And we have a lot of sweet content to discuss. The live patch, the Junkrat patch, which includes Junkrat, Zul'jin rework, and Muradin. HGC updates. The Crucible was this past weekend, and we've got Blizzcon. Every single team locked in. We'll talk about that a bit. But Baker Rizzle, we're making you start again this week. What's new, man?
Yeah, so it's been a not so chill week. So last week was pretty busy. This week we've started swimming again, and it's in the run up to our Korean boot camp. So everyone's going really hard. We've got pretty rigorous practice schedule in place, and yeah, just preparing to go to Korea, basically.
Nice. So you are doing another Korean boot camp. That's exciting. Yeah. It's exciting. You guys felt it was worth it last time? You had a good boot camp?
I mean, last time we think is going to be pretty different from this time. The cool thing this time is, like, before we kind of went there and got smashed. Which is really weird for us, because in Europe it was like we smash everyone else and then go to Korea, get smashed like in scrims, like maybe like max 40% win rate or over there, which is like difficult for sure.
Absolutely.
So this time when we go over, it's like hopefully we should be at least 50-50, you know, like on the same level. So it's gonna be really different this time, but we're definitely looking forward to it.
Nice.
Wait, when do you leave? Because Fnatic's in 4 days. You leave when?
Sunday, I think.
Okay.
That's soon.
So also 4 days?
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you guys planning to collab at all, or just completely independent trips?
So we've got our entire practice schedule while we're over there. We scrim some of the top Korean teams, and also we do have other slots for like Fnatic and etc. So yeah, kind of collab, but not really.
Damn. Apparently I'm hella quiet compared to you guys, so I will pump my mic up. This sounds ultra loud for me on my end, so we'll see. But we'll continue tinkering with that. Dunkus, you're not going to Korea unless you
Absolutely not. I'm staying home in the good old US of A and just streaming it up all the way until BlizzCon. That's the plan right now. No intermediate events between now and BlizzCon, so that'll just be stream life. And yeah, man, I was pretty excited for the PTR. I was having a lot of fun with Junkrat. He seems like a really interesting hero, and I'm looking forward to talking about him.
Hold on. This might be the secret. Maybe my mic is ultra loud now. I have no freaking clue what's happening with my software. It's okay. Yeah, man, it's definitely been an interesting week for me, just getting back from the Crucible. I was out in Blizzard land for a good week. We got to cast the HGC Open Division playoffs during the week. So that was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and that was in like the Blizzard streaming room. And it was actually kind of funny because I'd go to my hotel and I'd boot up Twitch and I'd like listen to a various stream, as in a World of Warcraft dev QA, and they're like in that same room that we were streaming in. So that was a fun experience for us, for sure. And it's always fun to be able to cast side by side, like in the lower production quality type events where it's not a full studio. It's just Jay-How and I doing our thing. That was a blast. Did you guys tune into the Crucible?
I caught some of it. I watched, I would say maybe half the games in total. But I didn't really catch much of Saturday because I went to the movies. So,
damn, no dedication. So I call most of the European games on Saturday, not very many of the NA ones, and then I think every game on day 2.
Nice.
That was a long day of Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah. It was a very worthwhile day, I feel, if you tuned in. It was very good games across the board. Definitely mistakes made, you know, by teams. I think imported support, if we look at day 1, they choked a little bit during some of their maps, but we're going to talk more about that a bit later. Definitely a fun experience, though. People in the chat are saying that room looked hella cramped. Guys, you have no idea what that desk situation was like, because to give you a preview of what the Blizzard streaming room is like, they have 3 monitors, 2 PCs underneath the desk, then 2 mice, 2 keyboards, the standard like audio mixer with microphones that come down on arms like this, right? All of that is in that room, and basically Blizzard's like, you can totally use our equipment if you like. It's just we don't know what your requirements are. And I do some pretty some of the productions I do take some pretty high-end encoding, and as soon as they say like they don't want to be obligated to make sure things work well, because they don't want to be responsible, right? They're like, we have our equipment, you can use it, but if you have your own stuff, you're happy to bring it. So of course, when I'm told that I'm going to bring my own stuff, so I bring my laptop and, you know, broadcast headsets and basically a box that allows me to plug in those broadcast headsets to the laptop. And my laptop is stupid powerful. And we tried to put all of that gear then with the gear that already existed. And that's when the infamous water bottle that went flying and hit the laptop and put us on the HGC splash screen. It was empty. It was empty, Dunk. So don't look too terrified. Empty water bottle went flying, hit the keyboard, production monitors over here. I had to sit sideways to look and observe like this, so that the production monitors like over here. It was on the HGC logo for a solid 2.5 minutes during a game because it happened to change scenes. So like that really sucked. And I mean, Dunk has been at tournaments where I'm producing, and he knows if there's ever a production hiccup like that, that's like out of my hands. That case, it wasn't out of my hands, but I was out of my element.
Well, the water bottle was out of your hands.
I get tilted, dude. I get hella tilted.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a pain in the ass, but all in all, it was still dope to be able to do it there. And Crucible was a blast. But let's talk patch notes. Unless you guys got something else you want to bring up. Any like call outs, community things you've seen? Nothing. All right. Nothing relevant is happening. Rest of the community, step your game up. Unless they think of it. They might. I'm not gonna, because I ain't about that life, but I am about talking about the patch. And we are gonna open up with the live patch, which is going to exclude Junkrat, Muradin, and Zul'jin, but I think everything else is in there. And there's a lot of small changes, and then there are some more relevant changes in the mix. And we're just gonna start at the top. Dragon becomes me nerf at level 1. I don't play Genji enough. Does this mean anything?
I think it does kind of reduce a little bit of the level 20 insanity that was Genji, but it's definitely not a big nerf by any means. It's like, you know, those team fights where Genji literally was in Dragon Blade for like 45 seconds? Those probably won't happen anymore.
Oh,
but like,
good.
It'll still be like level 20 Genji wins the game.
I mean, something was needed, because this talent was really insane. It's still insane, but slightly less so, for sure. So
yeah,
probably need to do a bit more, but it's okay. An okay change.
Yeah. I'm glad they adjusted it. I'm glad they adjusted it. It needed to be changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kel'Thuzad, Frost Blast, cooldown has been reduced a little bit, so I guess they're just trying to bring up the actual usage on that. Is this at all meaningful, though? 10 seconds off of it? I mean,
I feel like the 70 to 80 gap is probably like the least impactful 10-second change you could make, because like at 70, I feel like it's like you're just waiting for the next team fight. You can't really do anything. It's not going to change much. It maybe feels a little less bad to use it for like 1 kill or something, but I don't think that really changes anything. Just tiny buffs to try and get people to look into picking it. Because right now everyone takes Shadow Fissure.
I think the issue that Kel'Thuzad has is that Shadow Fissure is like a key part of his kit. Like it's his combo. It's like scouting. It's another ability because he has kind of long cooldowns outside of his Q. Like it really does flow really well with his kit, and it kind of feels like he was designed like with that one heroic, and then like the second one they couldn't figure it out, and this eventually it ended up like kind of last second, like putting Frost Blast in or something. That's what it feels like to me. Honestly, I think you could make this cooldown 60 seconds, and it still wouldn't be competitive. It would probably be viable at 60, I would say, but not truly competitive with Shadow Fissure.
Yeah, just because it's not part of the full combo, right? The blow up that's provided with Shadow Fissure. Maybe they make this the global reach ability in Shadow Fissure, is it?
Yeah, no, don't make that go, Reese. No, thank you.
You know how long it would take to cross the map, though?
It would be hilarious.
I think it speeds up. It gets pretty fast, actually, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does speed up. If like a Genji is away and it chases for a while.
I have not seen that, but I would like to. The rest of these changes, strip shields at 4. Meh.
Yeah, I don't think any of these changes really do much. Just trying to fix some of the imbalances in the talent pick tier. Obviously, 4, everyone picks Phylactery, so they're trying to buff an alternative. At 13, everyone picks the slow, so they're trying to buff the 2 alternatives. I don't think those are like particularly relevant, but who knows? Just trying to even out the talent tier imbalances a little bit. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, we actually have a lot of that in this patch, I feel. Just trying to like give love to other talents that may or may not see pick rate. And it's good to see Blizzard be a little bit more aggressive. We'll talk about the Kharazim later because he just got a change and they're just like, okay, here's more.
More changes.
This Wisp change is like, it might not seem like a big deal, but honestly, just for quality of life and like some situations when you choose, you misplace your Wisp, right? And then you have to wait another 4 seconds or whatever to be able to relocate it because it's not in the bush properly or whatever. I think it's a really nice change for her just in terms of gameplay.
Yeah. I mean, easily puts Lunar in the S+++ tier. So first pick, first ban from now on.
Bakery, agree?
Yeah, like not really much to say. The one thing I'm interested by actually is I didn't know it was supposed to be like a one attack to kill thing, because it actually just dies to AOE. I thought it was just a really low like health bar. So I wonder how that's gonna work with you know, like let's say you flame strike it. Like, does that count as one hit maybe? Like, kind of interested to see how that works out.
Probably.
Yeah, I would imagine.
What else works like that? I feel like there was something that used to work like that they changed.
I mean, Healing Totem was the...
Yeah.
And
Asmodee minions used to be that way too.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Bad times.
Anyway.
Wait. I have to give the camera a cute smile.
Why?
Because chat demands it. Damage reduced from 2.25 to 2% for maximum hero, maximum health. It seems substantial.
Yeah, it's like a 10% damage nerf off his trait. I think that's like pretty meaningful. It seems like a small number, but it'll add up. You know, over one application, it's 1% of your max HP, and like over a full Tormented Souls, you know, 2% or 3% of your HP. It's pretty big. I don't think it's going to really change anything, except now you'll pretty much never go the level 16 increased percent damage talent, and in competitive they had already mostly moved away from that towards the healing Q talent. So, small change.
Malthael is kind of continually needing nerfs, really, right? Like, comes out, he's OP, okay, let's nerf him. He's fine now. Oh, it's OP again, nerf him again. Like, yeah, I feel like, when's it gonna end? Like when is Malthael finally gonna stay down? Do you reckon, Doug? Is this enough?
This is not enough. There's no way. I just feel like he's just one of those heroes that like is so difficult to deal with in like a team fight or something. If you don't have an answer to him, he's just so hard to deal with.
Yeah, it really is.
It's weird though, because he's the first melee assassin that we've had in a long ass time that is actually meaningful in multiple ways. He does well in a solo lane, and he does phenomenally in a team fight. And, you know, historically, Olarak has never been there. You know, Kerrigan had her time, especially in the rotations, but she was more of like, I'm going to pick. I'm going to get picks for my team and be impactful in that way. Thrall used to be a good solo lane, but he offered an initiation for your team with Sundering. He wasn't really going to be the big, oh my god, focus Thrall in the team fight, but he still contributed, right, when he was relevant. Nowadays, not so much. And Malthael's the first one that's like, he's going to be good in the early game, he's going to hold our lane, and he's also going to be phenomenal in the team fight at level 10. And it's good to see a melee assassin that exists like that, where you can feel like a playmaker. But I feel like they got to find that balance. They got to make it so that Thrall can do that. They got to make it so that it's not just Malthael. Why can't Artanis fill a role similar to that, right? Why can't...
Well, I think the reason is because Malthael actually almost has no, like, real nuance to his kit. He basically has one button, W. The rest is literally, like, get in the middle of them, press R, and hold down Q the whole team fight. Like, you don't have to hit insane sunders. You don't have to hit swaps on Artanis. You don't have to land itself for a smash on Rag. There's just like, the only thing you have to do on Malthael is walk around in a circle, holding Q, and then maybe dodge skill shots with W. So like, it might just be he's too easy to get value out of. Like, you never can not get value because you can't mess up a sunder. Because even at the pro level, sometimes pros miss sunders, and that's devastating to Thrall's impact in a game. You even saw that back when Thrall was good. So like, to have a hero that you can literally never mess up your button pressing is like a pretty big deal, even at the pro level.
Any thoughts, Bakery?
I don't disagree. The one thing I will say about Malthael is people really haven't figured out that Malthael has like huge crushing weaknesses that no one like drafts around or like plays around abusing. So the most obvious one, which most people will realize, is that if he goes to a lane and let's say, you know, you have like a Dehaka, he's going to absolutely ruin Dehaka's day. But if you say, okay, well, let's use Dehaka as a wave clear in the rotation, and let's instead just send literally any ranged hero in the game top lane, he does nothing. He literally is AFKs. Like,
yeah.
So it's just that he's got a lot of weaknesses like that, which require the game to be played differently, which I think both in competitive and Hero League, people haven't really latched onto yet. So for me, I think if we ever do see that, and he does keep having to get nerfs because he is a very dominant hero, then he's going to like instant dumpster tier as soon as people figure that out.
Just like most of the melee assassins in the game. But we got bruisers at least. Yay, Sonya.
True.
Abathur getting some changes himself. We've got the spike burst. A little bit of love on that. And then the ultimate evolution nerf. Seems substantial. Now, ultimate evolution, we know when you play with Abathur, if you have never watched a competitive match and you just like to play quick match, play Abathur, you can do your thing. But, you know, at a higher level game, 1 through 10, the team is typically a little bit more vulnerable because they don't have the additional body. They don't have the additional full power. You got to think about it as like, yeah, Abathur is nice for soaking and clearing and defending and utility, but you can't really take a head-on team fight 5v5 without that fifth body. Now that the clone is 70 seconds, I feel like there are going to be some moments where you're not going to necessarily be ready for the next fight, and wasting a clone, burning a clone over an objective on a certain map, which is why Abathur, I feel like we don't see him on a lot of maps to begin with, will feel really bad.
So just to be clear, this can potentially be a 90-second cooldown. So it looks really weird to see Abathur's always 50-second cooldown. Well, I mean, yeah, it was, but the cooldown started ticking when the clone ended. And since it has a 20-second duration, you know, that was already a 70-second cooldown most of the time. Sometimes you did get one shot, so it'd be shorter. The thing I will say about this is that I do think that having ultimate evolution up so often and so difficult to punish Abathur for that was definitely an issue. But I would have preferred to see maybe cool down to 60 seconds, and then the XP it gives up to half or maybe 75% of a kill. Because when they have something like a Greymane, okay, and you're in the back line, because I'm a support main, and they copy the Greymane, and this guy literally, he's just like, I see my target. Just like runs it like your backline or something, or like your carry, like Kel'Thas, Jaina, go down. Literally just runs at them and starts chasing them, hitting them around. It feels terrible to try and kill it. It feels terrible to run away from it. It feels terrible to do everything. It just feels really bad. So at least if it actually gave XP, then you could be like, legitimately, them doing that is hurting them by giving us XP. Where when it's only 25%, it's just not enough to like offset how annoying and how powerful that zoning ability is. So I would have preferred to see that kind of change, but I think this is okay. It is true that in high level, Abathur's constantly like gaining traction, and she's a pretty high priority pick on a lot of maps right now.
Yeah.
Full Echo Dunk or any other tidbits?
Totally agree.
Nazeebo, and let's read the dev comments before we go in. We want to shift more of Nazeebo's health into the amount of Voodoo Ritual stacks he has, as the reward for Voodoo Ritual was mostly felt in unlocking the Vile Infection at level 20, or changing Spider Colony to no longer reduce the cooldown of the corpse spiders because Syndratune spider talents were so high. So with that being said, there is a longer explanation, but I think that covers it for the most part. They are increasing or reducing his health baseline, which means regeneration as well. Then the corpse spiders got a little bit of love. Plague of Toads got nerfed, and this again is all due to talents. The health stack has gone up from the ritual, so that scaling throughout the game will feel a little bit better with that baseline health. And the cast range on the Ravenous Spirit up by 1. That's actually, that could be interesting.
Not irrelevant.
Yeah. Superstition. Now this is a hard nerf, right?
Kind of.
Not really at the same time.
Yeah. It's actually really interesting. I really like this talent. In the sense that there's like two things. These two specific talent changes, I think there's one reason for each that's actually really good. So before, Superstition was just if the enemy messed up their draft and doesn't have an auto attacker, you click this talent and you cannot lose the game. You literally have 10,000 effective hit points as Nazeebo. You're completely unkillable. It was extremely frustrating and very just draft decides the game to have Superstition before. Like there were some games on my stream I was playing Nazeebo and like, oh, enemy team literally has no one to the auto attack damage. I guess I'm immortal and walk. I'm now the tank. I'm now the damage dealer. I'm in front. And like that's not fun for anybody to have that. Like nobody wants the game to be ended in draft. So I think this was a really good decision. This talent is interesting. I think it is a nerf in the situations where Superstition was broken before, but now I think they enabled Superstition to be an option in a lot of situations where it's tough for the enemy to auto attack you and strip that spell armor, especially against poke damage like Asmodan or Kel'Thas or Chromie, like all that long range poke damage. It's going to be kind of hard for them to clear Superstition off when they're trying to land long range spells like that. So I'm a big fan of this change.
Cool. No, that is interesting. I actually hadn't seen enough games, and I don't play Nazeebo with Superstition to actually feel how OP that is, but I guess 40% is pretty ridiculous at the end of the day. Spider Colony, they've changed it up a bit, and rather than reducing the cooldown on your Q, every time the spider attacks an enemy hero, the cooldown of your wall of zombies and Plague of Toads go down by 0.25. So that's partially why they increased the cooldown on the Toads baseline, because I think they're afraid of Toads of Hugeness becoming ridiculous if you're able to hit your spiders effectively. And this is cool. It's definitely gonna hurt that like late game spider nuke build that Nazeebo did have for sure. But I think the utility and the additional Toads, I mean the siege, the control provided by that will still be really impactful. And it's a pretty interesting change overall. I hope it will introduce build diversity to the hero, but I don't know. It's hard to say.
I just like that this, and they even mentioned it in the dev comment, I think there's a serious problem with heroes talent trees where it's like you just click all the same icon of the same ability because they all have synergy with each other. And they specifically mentioned in this dev comment, the talents had too much synergy. We didn't like that you just decided to play spiders and click all the spider icons. So we changed this because this is still an interesting talent, and now it has some synergy with the spider build, but it also has synergy with the toad build. So like if you chose to do more damage toads, you'll get more toads out. If you chose to get more spiders at level 7, then you'll get more cooldown reduction on your toads. So like it has synergy with either other build or either other talent set at level 7, but it's no longer like, oh, I clicked all the spider icons, so now my spider ability is the only one that matters, which I think is a serious problem in talent tree design.
Yeah, so my initial reaction to both of these talent changes was actually like damn, like, you know, I like Superstition, like I like Spider Comedy. And then I like started looking at them more, started thinking, how does this impact stuff? I was like, actually, I love these changes. Like, I think the Superstition change is, as Dunk was saying, much healthier for the game, like for the reasons he described. The Spider Colony one as well. Yeah, as Dunk said, like it's a really good change for promoting build diversity, and I really just wanted to highlight how this was really solid design. And Dunk touched on it a little bit at the end of this talent is legitimately synergizing with both builds, and also like if you have like uprooting zombies, it also synergizes with that. So it's just a cool talent for everyone. And then you have the zombie wall talent, which also has synergy with spiders, because if you lock them in, you can like get a spider and they're stuck in the wall and they can't run away from them. So that's also value. Like that entire tier at 16 now, I feel is actually well designed, whereas before not so much. Yeah, like I really appreciate these changes.
Overall, though, Nazeebo's still going to be kind of like, we play him on Tomb of the Spider Queen, where we can get lots of stacks, and that's where Nazeebo is viable when it comes to competitive, right?
I mean, yes and no. So, like, when Nazeebo is good, he usually tends to get picked on maps like Cursed Hollow as the split pusher, because he can soak ammo and he can kill towers very quickly. And he also tends to get picked on Infernal Shrines, sometimes for the same kind of reason of if the shrine spawns top, he can rotate between bot and mid, get a lot of stacks there. So it's not just Tomb, and you do have to include Dragon in that rotation map as well, but still fairly limited, but that's okay, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. Nazeebo. Then we got our poster boy himself, Probius. Still so tilted he is the key art for heroes. Blizzard, come on. Lunara is infinitely sexier.
He's a great character, though. He's really cute.
But Lunara is like actually relevant in the meta.
I mean, not really.
I think she is.
Maybe she will be, but not really right now.
Damn, he's gonna put my girl down. just like Bambi's mom, just put her down. Probius is gonna get a little bit more HP. Gather minerals, damage bonus up a little bit. Shield battery, duration after leaving the pilot has been reduced to 2 seconds, and then the amount has been increased from 12 to 14. Overall, just tuning. I don't know how relevant this is.
I don't know, because I haven't seen this hero in a month, thankfully, so hopefully I still won't after this.
So Probius has like the Zool issue, which was like he did PvE so well, and he was very much like a draft counter to a lot of solo laners. So what would happen is like you'd pick Probius, the Probius would just like split push all day, like just not being a very fun hero to play against. And then because PvE just naturally has this like huge advantage in match-made games, especially in Hero League, he would have a really high win rate. There'd also be like 10 people playing him because he wasn't fun to play with or against. So they just kept nerfing him until he was like acceptable, but now like no one can play him because he's just average and he's got so many issues and he's already so situational. So I think what we're looking at here is that they just need to change the design of the hero. these buffs are okay, but I feel like we're never gonna get in a situation where it's like, okay, guys, Probius is a well-rounded, fun hero to have in the video game. The one thing I will say is the shield battery change is pretty solid. So the good thing about it is that this talent was like really broken. If you look at his win rates, like this talent is like 10% higher than the other ones, and the reason for that is pretty simply like just everyone being healed for like 14 shields, or sorry, having like 12 shields or whatever, is just like actually impactful, especially when it stacks a bit. And people didn't play around it because it just kind of appeared and then it just kind of went away again. So buffing the actual shield but reducing the time is a simple change to make it more directed as a tool and not just like accidental. Hey, we get stuff. Woo.
I like it, Bakery. You try to make a case for Probius. In a way. you say something good, at least. Let's face it, though. You design a hero around cannon rushing. Is that ever going to be healthy? That is the core concept of the hero at the end of the day, right? Let's build photon cannons. And as fun as that is...
I feel like Probius got stuck in between let's build someone who can cannon rush and let's build a real hero. And he's just in that like no man's land in the middle, so...
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Zagara, she's losing health. She's getting a buff on Maw. The end of the day, though, she tends to mostly only excel in situations in the current meta where she's going to be impactful with some kind of global pressure, the added value of the battle momentum in the Maw. You know, one thing I've found in heroes in general, especially when we look at the original heroes, one of the ways that some of the ultimate abilities have been band-aided to make them more appealing and bring them into the meta is by giving that heroic ability a nether attribute. For example, Twilight Dream was never played. We'll give Malfurion some more mana regen with that Twilight Dream. Oh, meta, here we go. Twilight Dream every single freaking game for Malfurion. Maw, build the battle momentum into the Nidus network to get people using Nidus, not just Maw. And that was a change that ended up being very meaningful in Zagaras that we see pretty much always play with the Nidus network instead of the Maw. Maw also has a really long startup, and as players got better at the game, it just stopped being useful. I remember towards the tail end of Tempo Storm watching KO miss like every single Maw in a fight, and I was like, they legit lost the game because of that. It's not as good as a Void Prison. It's not. I'm just thinking back to like towards
just flaming KO, man.
I love KO, man. I love him. But like, you know, it was a big deal. And you compare the ease and reliability of that compared to things like Void Prison, and it's not comparable, right? Maybe Maw needs some kind of, maybe you need a fatter Nidus worm to eat those things. I don't know. I assume Maw is actually still a Nidus eating people, right?
I think so, yeah.
What kind of Zergling is it?
Okay, so here's what I think about Maw. Maw was like a good ability in competitive. It was never good in scrims, because in scrims people could actually play well, wouldn't really get that much value, and generally you wouldn't see it do much. But every single time you got to a tournament and you said, let's take Zagara with Maw, suddenly there's 5 of them on top of each other, like getting hit left and right by Maws. It was just a consistent thing that happened in Europe, like 3 tournaments in a row.
That's interesting.
Like, I have no idea why that happened. So anyway, kind of to like counteract that, they were like, okay, well, it's this huge Void Prism-like ability. It already stacks 7 for a wombo. Let's just like half the damage, and they did. They legitimately half the damage that Maw did, or maybe even less. Like maybe 40% of the damage it did. Ever since that point, Zagara's been a bad hero, and then we're like, okay, well, how do we make Nidus a better ability? So they actually added Nidus. It's a real ability now. It works really well. And then the only reason Zagara's good again is because now she's a completely different hero who, instead of team fighting and getting big Maws, she's in like a pseudo global. So honestly, I think just give it the full damage back, because she's still not a great team fighter outside of that heroic. And I feel like nowadays people are a lot better about knowing That's weird. Zagara's literally running at us. I wonder what she could be planning in this team fight.
What if in another kind of indirect way, you make Ma more of a Zagara becomes more of a mage, more of a useful team fight hero, and say that by grabbing Ma, it empowers her Roach drop pod with like a Baneling in it or something. One like maybe it has like the damage of 1 or 2 Banelings dropping with it. So it then has like an added radius with splash damage as it crashes down. That way Zagara has some form of burst if she's able to land her E. Still doesn't change the ability too much. Those Banelings would explode on impact, right? But some way to like make her an interesting threat outside of just the Maw, because you get the added battle momentum from Nidus, which is cool, and that helps her in her team fight, right? But Ma, if you miss it, it's like, all right, guys, well, I'm just gonna leave because I'm actually freaking irrelevant. Here's a Hydralisk. Good luck. I'm gonna go soak that lane. See ya. Like that's Zagara.
Dunk, do you get the feeling that Jake just really wants Zagara to be in the meta?
Dunk, I know you hate Zagara, but I'm trying to think of like things that are interesting to make her feel interesting, right?
Well, did you know that her E actually does impact damage? There's actually a talent too that makes it do more impact damage.
It does a ton if you get that stacked.
Literally impossible to
literally
finish.
The worst talent in the game. And
I have never finished it. I've tried like 5 times.
Not the worst.
Dunk.
I saw it finish once against a Leotic. That Leotic was like, no, I saw it. It was insane. Wow. She was doing so much. She had like 50k more damage than the next act. It was really good.
It's I think that could easily be resolved by taking away the indicator on the drop. So Chromie, you currently can't see her indicator. She shoots from a freaking lifetime away. Why can you see a Roach dropping as the enemy team when that's nowhere near as scary as a Chromie crashing the W down? So I think that would be a good way to help that, because then at least it's just like, I'm just gonna sidestep this. Good job, Zagara. Thanks for picking a worthless talent this game. But I don't know. Yeah, you're right. I just want her to become more interesting and fun. And I know Dunk loves Zagara very much. I saw your feedback thread about her on Reddit. I think that's a decent idea, a decent suggestion to make it so that her creep and Maws all get destroyed if she dies across the map.
just sort of still run like.
Down to Ana. She got some more basic attack damage. And Overdose, the level 4, adjusted the functionality so it no longer applies to Biotic Grenade. That's the 2 trait stacks from her. But the Sleep Dart now gives you 3 doses. So this is definitely a nerf, right? Because the W is AoE, it's super value, it's like instantly there, and the chance of hitting it is up there. But I still feel like it's going to be viable with that Sleep Dart giving 3.
I mean, at the same time, I'm not really sure if it is like a nerf specifically, because if you hit a sleep dart on someone, you get an auto with the sleep dart using the 0.5 second timer. If you like do a combo properly, you get another auto after. You still get up to the 5 stacks. So I'm not specifically sure it is a nerf in most situations. And then I don't know how many times you're like chucking a grenade at someone hoping for it to do damage either. It tends to be solely for the healing deny. So it's a slight nerf in like rare situations, I would say, and doesn't really affect much in most others.
I feel like the 2 stacks not applying a grenade is kind of a big deal for mind numbing, though. Like, I feel like those 2 stacks were an important part of actually getting mind numbing on like 2 or 3 backliners.
So like, I mean, that's kind of the next talking point, right? Is like, why is that talent still not changed in this patch?
Mind numbing?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, the thing is, her other level 4s just feel horrific, right? Like, I'm not the only one. Like, did you try the other ones more, Bakery? Because I tried them and I was just like, felt they were awful.
Yeah, so I'm still not a fan of aim down sights for sure.
Yeah.
Didn't really get much use out of that. And then the other one's literally just an airstrike. It's like, I don't really want to pick that one without a radius increase.
Yeah, I mean, the other one is literally just, well, did you take the grenade talent at 1? Better take 4 seconds off grenade then. Otherwise, what are you doing?
The thing I would like to see is them swap the cooldown reduction on grenade at 4 with the radius, because airstrike is like pressing that 1 key is literally impossible unless you have the radius, I feel like. If you have the radius, it becomes like solid. Like
you're talking about the global casting?
It. Yeah. So the actual active ability, if they swap that passive of reduced Bardic Grenade cooldown by 4 seconds with the level 1 talent, the second reward, so make the second reward be cooldown reduction and make Airstrike's passive be radius of healing grenade increased by 100%, I think that'd be a more engaging talent tree.
That ability, it doesn't have a minimum cast range, does it? So you could, I've only tried it in try mode. I saw you could throw it super far. Can you throw it close range in a team fight as well to have like an additional heal?
I think so, but it's the same cooldown as Bardic Grenade.
It shares the cooldown with your W.
Okay, mate.
So you can like preload the healing, if that makes sense. Like my team hasn't taken damage yet, so 3 seconds early I'm gonna put a heal where I think we're gonna be, and then walk the team fight into that spot.
Risky.
Like to kind of get like 3 seconds off your cooldown. It's a lot of effort for marginal reward, though.
Yeah, then it's interesting talent for sure, but I don't know.
I just feel like these Ana changes, I don't know, like, was this even the talent that you wanted to change? Like, was this more important to change than Mind Numbing Agent? Like, if you can only change 1 talent, I don't think so. Like, I don't know. Ana's talent tree feels pretty locked in, I would say, these talents still.
Hopefully, I'm booting up Overwatch because I want to show a new Ana skin because I'm like in love with it. Hopefully it's not really loud, guys. Just giving you guys warning. All right, we're good. Yeah, Ana overall, I like your points, Bakery. Just saying that maybe you don't want to be using the W aggressively as often, but I still think in some situations it was really powerful if someone overextended or whatever. A Genji dives onto your backline, you throw that W in. I'm not talking about so much in like competitive ranked matches. I'm talking just like, you know, if I'm playing on Hero League and this ended up being our composition, there are definitely moments when that's going to feel impactful. But the 3 stacks on the E is going to be good. And of course, you can get the Pierce on the E with that level 1 quest, which I feel like will almost be a necessity if you're going that talent in a lot of cases. But where is this Ana skin? All right, I just realized stream has been looking at heroes this whole time. Hashtag NA production. Look at that. She's a freaking pirate. She's got a parrot.
That is pretty sweet.
A gun. It's got a sword on the gun. What are those called? Berettas?
Bayonet.
Yeah. I was close. I almost said baguette.
Is the hat, I think. Right?
I don't know, man. And then you got the nice little cool logo on her cape. Yeah. I mean, it's funny because like the Overwatch community, I've seen active Reddit threads that are like,
really
why
want our skins?
Yeah, why does the heroes, like they saw the D.Va, Deathwing D.Va skin, they're like, why do they get the best skins? And I've never been like, I want this Overwatch skin in heroes. Then I saw this, but obviously you guys see TownHall heroes being that retro look. This Zarya skin, dude. Oh my god. Holy shit. Those pants.
80s music video, Zarya?
Let's get physical. It is actually like the dopest of the dope. So good job, Heroes team, but good job, Overwatch team. You guys are doing a great job just making dope Shizarino. Back to Heroes World, where we can scroll down in the patch notes to Brightwing, who recently received some pretty substantial buffs and saw a high pick rate in some of the HGC games. I wouldn't say she was overwhelmingly popular, but she did see a lot more play than previous patches, and they've nerfed her across the board. How do you guys feel about these changes overall?
My initial thoughts were that's a bit of an overreaction. Like
the snap changes? Yeah,
I mean, she was doing well in Hero League specifically, I think. I think she was possibly the highest win rate support, but I would have liked to see that play out a bit, see how far that goes, see if she starts dropping when people remember she's a global hero, like see if in competitive it actually does take off, or it is just the Open Division and Crucible teams like having their own meta. Like I would have liked to see like a bit more hands off on this one, which is weird to say, right? Like fast changes are usually a great thing, but
yeah, I don't know. I mean, to be fair, it seemed like there were a lot of buffs on Brightwing
in the previous
last patch. Yeah,
they buffed.
Yeah,
a ton
like
of
they
things.
buffed a lot of things, so I can understand having to tone some of it back. But it did seem like this came pretty quick, and we hadn't really seen her start dominating yet.
This isn't the end of the Brightwing changes. I'm gonna say that right now. Every single player I've seen has gone full phase shift build at 1-4-7. And every time you see that trend where it's just like, this is the only build and it's all the same talent icon, Blizzard likes to, remedy that when they can. It's interesting to see the Emerald Wind. Again, they buffed Emerald Wind. I don't remember how long ago, probably a year at least now, to give it the Soothing Mist healing added on. And now they're toning that down since they buffed Soothing Mist a bit baseline, which I think is reasonable. It is a substantial change for sure. The face shield nerf, I don't think is actually too much of a detriment since Brightwing gets it herself. It's still going to be really powerful. But I don't know. I don't think this is going to hurt her too much personally. But we shall see.
Yeah.
Kharazim, I alluded to this earlier. They literally said everyone is picking Iron Fists and nothing but. So they buffed Transcendence and Insight. Well, didn't change anything, so they buffed it again, and now it's 1.75 cooldown reduction and every third basic attack on Insight. That's pretty nutty, man. That's a huge cooldown reduction for him when you have your E active.
Yeah, so about the Transcendence change, in my experience, due to the nerf on Breath of Heaven, I was getting about the same healing with Transcendence before and after the patch. So definitely need more buffs. Glad we saw that. Insight, like now it's kind of getting to the point where it's 75% better than it was 2 patches ago, and it was already picked 2 patches ago. So the big question mark is, can you stack Insight? I'm still leaning towards probably not. We're probably still going to see Kharazim with Iron Fists only. If we see him at all, because obviously there is Medic, there is Veigar, there is Lucio, there is Brightwing. I think Uther, did I say? Either way, there's a lot of supports. Like, I'm not sure if Kharazim's actually competing for that slot anymore. But if he is, Insight's pretty scary. You gotta keep an eye on it.
Does he need some kind of, I don't know, baseline movement speed, additional mobility? Because he seems like the support that's supposed to fit that fantasy of I'm here, I'm there, I'm here, I'm there, right? With Radiant Dash. But I feel like he doesn't often fulfill that. He's not a support that can be meaningful in body block situations oftentimes. You can't position like in a really clever way other than dropping your ally and then radiant dashing to that ally, and that is oftentimes like a very costly move to make, right? You're not going to waste your earth ally unless it's your only way to survive. You want to save that for a fight where it's going to get a lot of value.
I feel like ever since he lost Relentless, he struggled to find a proper place in the meta. I think he was hit pretty hard by that. And then with the rework, obviously, we've seen him pop up pretty consistently whenever Iron Fist becomes a real problem. But the way that Kharazim heals with Insight and Transcendence is to run into the middle of the enemy team. That's where he's most effective. And when it's your support who can't cleanse himself, doesn't have any way to mitigate CC, it's just really risky for him. So it's difficult.
That's a good point. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe they'll figure him out eventually. Medic did have her rework, and since then she's been performing pretty well, specifically in certain maps and situations. The cooldown has been reduced on her clear quest, so the cooldown reduction rather has been reduced, so it's a nerf. The blast shield amount has been brought from 8 to 6% of maximum health. The 13-second opinion cooldown reduction for hitting 2 heroes has been increased from 1 to 2 seconds. That's pretty nice.
Well, that's a nerf because it's actually written wrong. And what it does is it does the Medivh thing where it sets your cooldown to a certain amount. So that is actually that note. That note is written wrong. It's not cooldown reduction. It's like cooldown set to
cooldown total
whatever. Yeah, basically
has been increased from 1 to 2 seconds. Okay.
Yeah. So it's actually a really big nerf to that talent. But I think Medivh absolutely needed these nerfs. I think she was like pretty ridiculous.
Well, the constant grenades coming out late game, especially in some matches when you got people that are clumping, it becomes like actually ridiculous in some moments when you're trying to contest an objective and grenades are just like, nope, go away.
Yeah, it was pretty silly in my opinion.
The weird thing at the high level is that at a high level how do you say it, talent? Caduceus feedback, maybe the level 1 auto attack talent was the go-to. At level 4, it was Trauma Trigger or Blast Shield. They were fairly competitive with each other. So it's very weird to see no changes to them from my perspective, but I believe in Hero League specifically, those talents were absolutely dominant. So it does make sense.
Down to Mr. Stukov. He's again losing some health. The healing pathogen has been nerfed a little bit here. Spine launcher damage reduction has been increased from 30 to 40% at the level 1, but now increases the final damage of weighted pustule. Huh. That's pretty interesting. What do you guys think about that one? The level 1 talent.
Hold on, if I remember correctly,
he's gonna math it.
The final damage on weighted pustule, if I remember correctly, is like 60 something base, like
70 something, I think. But yeah, it's not much.
Okay.
Oh, 80. It actually deals 80 damage on expiration or being detonated. Like, so realistically, that changes almost nothing, considering popping pustules, I think, was like really far from being relevant already.
Okay.
But yeah, okay. I don't know.
All right. What about the rest of the changes? He lost some talents.
I don't understand why they're nerfing Stukov personally.
Yeah.
He wasn't viable in competitive, really.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, I think like maybe they could have nerfed arm build a little bit, like a teensy bit again, like because that's the only build you were seeing in competitive.
And the way that it approached the nerfs was really weird to me actually as well. It's like, so you're nerfing his like sustain healing and you're nerfing his health. It's like what? Like those were the issues with Stukov? Like,
yeah, I don't really understand. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't want to. Like, usually when I want to criticize things, it's because I understand what they were doing and I dislike the way they do it. But for these changes, I honestly just have no idea what the design intention was. So I don't know how hard I can actually, like, say they're bad or good, because I just don't understand them, to be honest.
Why do you think eye infection had to go? That's what I don't get.
So blinds on supports at level 16 are slowly disappearing, if you noticed. So we had the Lucia one disappear.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's actually a reason. I don't know. Was that a trap talent maybe? Were people taking it and it was just terrible? Or?
I don't know. I feel like it was good in really specific circumstances.
I mean,
against a Greymane or Illidan, like they get too aggressive and they dive, then you actually could get value. Like the talent was good there. I don't know.
I also like the talent. I mean, the reason I think it went is because it has increased the final damage of weighted pustule by 50% on it, as did popping pustules now. So I guess maybe they were like, it's not very picked, like, and we want that effect to go somewhere else, so we don't want that in the tree. I would guess is like, and to them that was a better solution than reworking the talent.
Have you ever tested if you have your W on multiple targets and pop him with popping pustules, if the final damage from each W applies to all other targets in the radius?
Oh, you mean like old like Sylvanas? Like
Yeah.
poison? No, I've never tested it.
Okay. Just curious, because like that would be pretty funny.
It's
But
a
totally
nice
random,
use
off
now.
topic, and not relevant. Yeah.
No, that's interesting. The unstable poison days, when everything exploded and everything died.
Oh yeah. Many a competitive game was lost to unstable poison.
If you're like accidentally walking with your minions, you can be punished so hard.
Instantly killed. Yeah.
I would
That's
really
cute.
appreciate a dev comment on these Stukov changes, personally.
Yeah. Okay, so the 16, I don't know, does that matter? Like, is Super Strain pickable?
I do think that probably puts it in pickable territory.
Yeah, because you can like trigger it purposefully potentially or something too now.
So a lot of times you have one stun, which would heal them for that small amount, which was never equal to Pox Populi, and Pox Populi was the whole team. So now, you know, if they have like an Arthas mirrored in, now you're going to get 2 Pox, which is more than Pox Populi, so maybe it might be worth a single target there. Especially since they did nerf the base healing of Healing Pathogen as well. So again, probably like more value there as well. Yeah, overall, I think it's a solid change. Like, it did need something, and I don't think giving it more healing was the correct call. So I do like the change to the Super Sting.
Overall nerfs though for Stukov, Bakery
Definite overall nerfs, especially the health nerf is really punishing.
Yeah, like I don't know, felt good, so good getting in there and auto attacking as Stukov.
Because like how many melee supports do we have?
Really squishy, like
yeah, like Rhaegar was
way more squishy than Rhaegar. So like just for comparison, actually, Rhaegar starts at about 2,050 health. Stukov started at about 1,660-ish. And then they nerfed that even more. So it's like, yeah, Rhaegar's got like 30% more health than Stukov. Like,
yeah, I think Stukov is like 100% dead right now. I already wasn't picking him anymore in live, despite loving the hero.
He wasn't really alive. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'd stopped picking him. I have not played like more than 2 games with Stukov this season. I just didn't feel he was good enough. Feels bad, man.
Well, maybe we'll get those dev comments someday. Who knows? Back to the patch notes, D.Va. So again, we were talking about, you know, talent tiers where you're only seeing one talent get picked, and they're buffing pretty much everything except for Hit the Nitrous, which has been nerfed and still maintained its #1 pick rate with the hero as far as I know, at level 1 for D.Va. So they buffed Rushdown, Crash Course, and Pro Moves. And you know, the Rushdown is nice in a big map. If you're trying to rotate, it's basically just your movement. I think that's totally warranted. It doesn't change the hero too much, just makes your rotations easier. Crash Course, cooldown completion, just easier to do. And then, you know, Pro Moves, the duration of movement speed bonus increased to 1.5. That's probably the only like really meaningful talent here that's, you know, maybe going to change her, but I feel like Hit the Nitrous is still going to retain its #1 spot just because it gives you some kind of burst pressure on everything, right?
I don't know. I haven't played much D.Va lately. Like, the rushdown rotation does really change how fast you go between lanes, which was a serious problem for D.Va. But I don't know if I don't think these are going to bring her into competitive. I think it'll just make it a little less painful to have people playing D.Va on your team and, you know, accidentally picking not the best talent. So I think that's great.
Any thoughts, Bakery?
Honestly, I'm not really much of a D.Va player.
Okay.
I was trying to look up, like, I swear Rushdown used to be like 3-second cooldown reduction, and now it's up to 7. But I couldn't find out in time. So honestly, not really very many thoughts. Definitely 3 weaker talents from what I could tell.
Yeah, I mean, good buffs to those at least. Maybe situationally they'll get value. Diverting power, the movement speed penalty has been reduced from 50 to 30%. That seems okay. The nuclear option buff here is actually pretty interesting to me. Just the 70% damage. Such a freaking long explosion time. What is it, like 1.5 years? And if if you have a Garrosh and you can do something cheeky and throw the mech at the enemy team, you know, maybe something cool happens, right? But I think it's more for the lulz than anything else.
I appreciate there is a talent in her tree, nuclear option, which is solely for the memes. I appreciate that. So glad to see it get a bit of love. If it's ever viable, get it out of there. But as long as it's for the memes, go for it. I'm a big fan.
Just letting my cat purr into the mic. Level 20, we got pop and stop. Damage bonus increased to 200%, and the concussive pulse has cooldown has been reduced from 8 to 7 seconds. Cool. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be enough for for any big changes.
Yeah, it's fine though.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of damage and stuff and pop. So if you actually put the time in, you go to try mode and you're like, I'm going to know this, and you move, press H as you bunny hops. Press H as you bunny hops. H to stop, by the way. It cancels movement commands. So you start moving, as you're about to hit the ground, you stop movement, get the damage bonus, keep moving. If you can know that timing, do you know how much damage this could be on the whole enemy team? It could be huge. Like, I really want to see someone pull that out and just like kill the whole enemy team, just like 1v9. Like, that'd be a really cool moment.
Yeah, I mean, props to them if they do. It's a little tough, I think, to execute for the value you get. Like, I don't think the damage is quite enough, but pretty decent.
But not quite hella decent. It's only pretty decent.
Pretty decent, yeah.
I'm looking at her, the diverting power. I mean, 30% movement reduction when you're holding up the shield. Who is that going to be really good against? Chat seems to think that could be a pretty meaningful upgrade for her. And again, I don't think any of us play a lot of D.Va. Dunk, you used to.
The interesting thing about diverting power is when she released, it made her stun herself.
Yeah.
Then it was 50%. Now it's only 30. Like.
Yeah.
So, at some point, this talent has to be broken, right? Like, that's what I'm suspecting. Like.
I mean, maybe. But it competes with, I think, her other pretty good talent. I can't remember what it is at 4.
So yeah, she has 2 of them at 4. So she has Fusion Generator and Bring It On, both of which increase the mech charge time.
Yeah.
So they're pretty important.
Yeah, you have to give up a lot to not take one of those 2 because self-destruct is such a huge portion of her kit. Like, to make her a real hero in a fight, you have to have a self-destruct ready going into the fight, basically, and try and get another one during the fight, I think, to make her an actual hero. So giving up charge rate is just not an option.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Although it is pretty wild how much more powerful that talent is now than it was at launch.
Yeah, it is a sizable difference. Oh, I mean, maybe we'll see some nice talent diversity. At least it feels usable, right? The fact that you couldn't move with that before, I remember seeing it and just being like, why would I ever do that? You just step to the side, hold fire, whatever. Like, it's going to be so difficult to ever get that kind of value. Maybe outside of set instances fighting over a key objective, i.e. Infernal Shrines. But whatever. Cool to see some love being given to talents that are not played as much. Hopefully it works out. The Death Wish at level 20 for Garrosh no longer increases the duration of Warlord's challenge. What was the increased duration amount?
It was 0.5 extra seconds, so it went from 2 to 2.5 when you took that talent.
Yeah. Correct. I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's just a terrible talent now. I mean, sure, maybe it's the strongest one, but I think it was probably more indicative of Garrosh's other level 20s being terrible as well. The fact that people would rather take that. So, like, the talent is now, if someone dies within taunt, it goes to 5-second cooldown. But, like, not very many people are going to die in the taunt.
Right.
like ever. Like you're never gonna take a talent and say, "Well, let's hope we can get a kill in the taunt, guys."
They're gonna open the fight with it, and you know that's gonna be your setup essentially.
I think honestly, Garrosh probably does need 5 level 20 talents just because he does have one which is locked behind other talents earlier. Like I think on the show we said this might have been an issue at release, where like we think it's great that you can keep speccing into talents and upgrade them, but when it ends up being a choice between throw 2 people or like get like 5-second cooldown if you kill someone in taunt, like you probably need like a 3rd talent there, like to spice things up.
Yeah, that's fair. And they've done a pretty good job, I think, on a lot of heroes making interesting level 20 talents. Like, but a lot of those talents end up being, you know, cute versions of Bolt that may or may not be useful. Like I hate Jaina's personally. It's just so freaking short.
It might be bugged. Don't one check if like that's a bug. Like he's supposed to be like.
Was the range supposed to be 10 times that? Like is the decimal wrong?
Honestly, though, like it's like congratulations, you sidestepped a Rainer Q. That's about the most you're ever gonna do with it. But yeah, Garrosh did get that minor nerf. Johanna a little bit more, you know, interesting in terms of she just had her rework. They're trying to, you know, there was an entire thread that got a lot of traction on Reddit as well, basically calling to action, just saying, look, I've been a Johanna main for a long time. You reworked her, she feels like shit. I've never been a big Johanna player per se, and I actually have not played with her rework more than 1 game. So do you think that she needed like the love to Falling Sora, she's gonna have a shit ton of health with this? Like they took away Regen Master with the rework, right?
Yeah, so what happened with the rework, as far as I can tell, is they reworked Johanna and they say, okay, so we want Johanna to be more fun because a lot of people find her boring. Which I think is accurate. Like she was boring for a lot of people, so they're trying to find the fun and to be able to buff like damage, like cooldown, like movement speed. To be able to buff all that, they decided, oh well, just take something away that's like not very fun, but is giving her a lot of power, and that ended up being the regeneration. But as it turns out, like 90% of Johanna mains, it seems, thought the regeneration was like core, like top 3 parts of her kit somehow.
Yeah.
So she just feels terrible to a lot of people now that she doesn't have regen. I mean, if I'm honest, I think over time people are gonna adapt to it and it's not gonna be that bad. But yeah, I mean, she was a little weak anyway, so I think the buffs are warranted.
Yeah, she's just gonna feel like a true main tank. Right, she's never going to be big damage. Her utility is limited. Her clear is okay, but interesting to see her get the quick changes. As just kind of like Brightwing. I think that was probably the same patch. Maybe Johanna was a patch before the Brightwing buffs.
I think it was the same patch.
Yeah, well, 2 snap changes to them. Are there any meaningful changes in the bug section here?
Don't know.
Tooltips, Kel'Thuzad.
Oh, the Rhaegar
lunge on
lunge.
the minimap. Rhaegar lunge.
Rhaegar lunge is the only one I think that has a strong power level effect. Well, I don't know what the Johanna one was.
I'm not sure if that's actually fixed. Like in my experience playing on PTR, that was not fixed. At least not 100% of the time. And there's also a lot of other Rhaegar bugs as well. So
yeah. The Brightwing phase shift bug, I didn't know that was still happening. I experienced it on the PTR super consistently, but when I went live, I didn't actually have the issue. So I didn't. It must have been in isolated cases or something because I hadn't had that problem, and I play a fair bit of Brightwing. Bam! That is the live patch discussion. Now we need to transition over to the PTR patch notes discussion, opening with Junkie Ratty Tatty Tad, but I actually need to go grab water, so we're going to take a short commercial break. And when we get back, Junkrat discussion will begin, followed by Zul'jin, Muradin, and all the juicy HGC stuff. Stay tuned, guys. We'll be back in just a few. All right, welcome back here to 159 as we are now transitioning to talk about Junkrat. First impressions of Junkrat Dunk Train.
First impressions of Junkrat were that he was really fun. He has like some interesting effects in his kit, like the concussion mine is a lot of fun to play with. The little trap is like amusing. He has, I felt a lot of talents that were like cute. Like the trap gets bigger and like the actual model of the trap gets really big. It's kind of funny to look at, and then it like chases people around. Like it felt like a really fun kind of crazy hero, you know? So I thought he was really fun. That was my first impression.
Bakery.
He reminded me a lot of Ziggs. Like a lot of Ziggs from League of Legends, which was one of my favorite mages when I used to play mid lane in that game. And he was honestly more fun than Ziggs. I think his Q was a lot more fun. The fact that his autos and AoE was pretty fun for wave clear. Like the bloody chomper traps or whatever they're called, the ones that just start chasing people. Like,
yeah.
Like honestly, I've had a lot of fun with Junkrat. Like playing with and also against him. I guess we'll get more into the other topic surrounding Junkrat later, but just so you know, we're gonna skip over that for now, guys. Okay, stay tuned if you want to hear about that.
Oh, esports related?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's HGC discussion, but we'll get there. his skins, I think, you know, everyone immediately saw this, was like, all right, cool, green. Is that a Baneling in the back? Not a Baneling, but Baneling tinted. But I think that's an inevitable, like, come on, give us the Baneling version. That'll be good. I do really like his artwork in general. Like, even just the base tints, like the fact that he's got this
one was really cool. Yeah. Clowning Junkrat.
Yeah, the striped shirt, like almost like maybe this is like inmate. Yeah, oh, it is inmate. He's got the number here of like his prisoner inmate thing, and he's supposed to be a criminal from Australia. So it's just kind of thematically. Oh, cell 21. It says on his rip tire. See the details. Ability wise, you mentioned you related him to a mage in League of Legends. And he does feel like a mage more than an auto attack hero. Even those auto attacks do have splash damage, which is super meaningful. He's not a burst mage without his heroic abilities, however.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think he's actually that much of a mage.
Oh, okay.
To be honest. What was your feeling on this, Dunk?
I don't know what he actually does in the team fights. Like, that was my problem. My problem was, like, I was playing this hero, and I was like, oh, this is fun. I was spamming grenades. I'm bouncing off walls. I have these mines that are kind of cool. These traps are fun. And then I'm like, well, what do I do?
What is my role this game?
Yeah, like, what am I here for? So, and then I found out my role was to get level 20 and pick Rocket Ride and Zerg their keeps over and over.
We'll get there. We'll talk about that. I know that's definitely a topic of discussion. Let's be a little objective here with his kit. So, I did a fair bit of thinking, because a lot of heroes I'm just like, I'm gonna listen to Duncan Bakery and not do my own thought process, because honestly I don't care. But if it's a support or if it's a ranged hero, I'm much more passionate, because that's actually something I will play. And he, like you said, he doesn't have meaningful burst damage. He has good clear. He has good AoE. His siege is nice. I mean, again, it's splash damage that is provided, so you will be able to do something, and he can shoot from stupid distance with his trap launcher and still effectively hit a target. On top of that, he has some burst movement and CC in the form of his W, which is flexible. 16-second cooldown, right? Let me confirm that 16 seconds on the concussion mine. Yeah. So that's, he can go over walls, which can be cool. He can really displace an enemy, which is really far, and if done properly, could be big. And then lastly, he has the trap for covering space. To me, he feels like almost like a Dragonshire tomb, like a 4-1 split hero that will almost serve as like your second support in fulfilling the role of helping lock someone down, clear and kill. Not support in the sense of he's healing up your team in that sense, but he's giving you control in the form of the trap. He's giving you control in form of the rotation to knock someone way out of the way and then follow up and kill. But he's also giving you lots of fast clear. And I see a place for him on Dragonshire, but this is literally just my first impressions of him, and I'm curious how off the mark I am compared to what you guys might think.
So my impression of him was literally full utility, like macro hero, all about controlling the battleground. I was a really big fan, so we were playing him in scrims, and he was definitely like, he walks up to a lane, guys, the whip is clear, like, and that was crazy. And then in rotation maps where they had like an immobile tank, or their tank had to come through like certain ways, it was just like, put a trap there, put a mine there. It's like so much control. He was like full utility, and he was really lacking in the damage front in team fights. Those are my big observations. I've got two kind of anecdotes, which is, I do think his trait is really boring, and I'm not really sure how someone whose trait is literally only, hey, I do something cool when I die. I don't know how that actually like made it into the final pass. I feel like at some point someone should have said, let's just say his auto attacks are AoE, or his auto attacks do 50% magic damage or something, like just added like another component. Also boring, but when combined, make an interesting trait. I would really like to see that. And related to that, the first time I played with a Junkrat, me and Snitch, we queued up on PTR, and I was like, oh, I'll play Anna, because Junkrat's a mage, so I'll give him the nano boost, and it'll be really good to play. So I nano boost him, like we finished the team fight, and me and him were both sat there like, and then I'm like, that didn't feel very good. He's like, no, I think that was actually useless. Like, it's not even worth nano boosting him, guys. If you thought it was, please just put it on your tank or something. It was literally useless. Like,
holy shit. So it's his auto attack damage it's in his mines. Mines are ability power, but auto attacks are physical. Just to clarify that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe has there ever been an auto attack that was ability power?
Well, so that's what I'm saying is I think if you give his trait being like his auto attacks are ability power damage, like kind of a dangerous precedent. So
yeah,
I would personally give him an ability on his D, and the ability would be a toggle, kind of like Zul'jin, which is when active, his auto attacks are AoE and cost mana and do ability damage. And when it's not active, his auto attacks are single target, don't cost any mana. Like, to me, that would have made him more mage-like. Even though it is encouraging auto attacks, which is a bit weird for a mage, that makes him a mage because he does have at least one ability that actually can be ability damage rather than being like he actually ends up being, I would say, more auto attack damage in team fights than ability power.
When Ashe activates her frost or whatever on her arrows in League of Legends, it costs mana, but does that count as a different type of damage?
No, it doesn't.
Okay. It's always interesting to compare to other games, even when I have zero knowledge on League.
So the reason I think that actually is going back to my Ziggs comparison. Ziggs was actually like a really bad hero that they almost scrapped in development, because although he was a lot of fun, they just couldn't get him to actually work in the game because he couldn't get any items or anything. And one day, someone who worked in the QA team and was testing the hero for bugs was just like, guys, like, why don't you just make his autos do like magic damage or something? And then that's where they found his passive, and that's why Ziggs like actually went into the game, because they found a way to make his passive reliable damage that was magic damage that could allow him to build ability power and work. So that's where the idea comes from. I think Junkrat could really benefit from the same kind of thing.
Chat just asked the question that I also asked immediately. Why is Junkrat not a specialist? It's like, you know, with what he fulfills.
I think specialists are getting phased out.
I think
like,
it feels like it.
As soon as Vag wasn't a specialist, like Junkrat's not a specialist. I think there was one more recently that everyone thought would be a specialist and it just wasn't. I feel like they're trying to move away from them, because I do think is a terrible term. Like
Probius is an assassin, is he not?
No, he's definitely a specialist. Like, I don't think he's an assassin.
He's
a specialist.
Okay, so that might be the last specialist we got. He was released probably early spring, maybe March.
Yeah, he was. I remember Western Clash. I think they revealed him, the first one.
Yeah. In, Kiev or Katowice.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, back to Junkie. So Dunk was saying, what does he do? What does Junkrat accomplish? He clears. He can finish a kill over the wall, and he has some forms of CC and everything. But when you compare him to a Vala or a Cassia or any kind of like auto attack hero, or the new Zul'jin, he definitely, falls a little flat in his ability to just blow someone up. Even though
his role is not damage. His role is absolutely like utility map control, like Bakery was saying. The thing is, I don't know if that's enough to bring him to a team competitively, but like,
when you get good at mines, I think it is.
Well, like the mine, I think the W as a follow-up, like on a stun or something, is absolutely filthy. Like the displacement and the amount of time they're spending being displaced is actually insane. Like his W is actually like a 1.5 second stun Plus, it throws you as far as a Stitch's hook. Like, it is ridiculous. Yeah. But, like, in what kind of kills it enables. But outside of that, like, he doesn't contribute much to a team fight, I don't think.
But his push potential, Dunk Train, what about level 20?
I mean... Oh, the suicide thing?
Yeah, the suicide. It's not even suicide.
Well, it's like pseudo-suicide.
You
come back.
Though.
Yeah.
You don't give XP when you do that, do you?
No, I don't think so.
No. So for those who didn't know, one of his heroic abilities, I'll go into try mode now to demonstrate this, is a rocket ride. Is that what it's called?
I think so.
It is, yeah.
You have the Riptire, which is just like Overwatch, where, you know, it can be destroyed by the enemy team, and then you have to control that Riptire separately. How does that feel, by the way, while I set this up?
Riptire?
Yeah.
It felt really slow to me. I'm not sure why it felt so slow, because apparently it's like, I mean, it is meaningfully faster than a hero, but every time I played it, I was like, man, it feels so slow. And I don't know if that's the wind up or what, but Riptire really felt super slow.
Well, Rocket Ride, when I saw the first video they put out, I was like, oh god, Junkrat's going to have a global heroic option. This looks ridiculous. And he's going to land there, and that'll be the impact it has. I thought it would almost be like a global engage akin to a stage dive. Not at all what it ended up being. You can see the cast range is nothing crazy, and after you cast it, you can then move that to where you would like to drop. So it ends up being longer than it actually is. As you explode, the grenades come out as well, so you get trait value. Doesn't actually count as a death, and you respawn, and you have a hyper fast mount to then rejoin the game. Baker, what's so funny, man?
I love this ability.
Oh, he's just a kid in the candy store watching. And you can see natural cooldown was on here with level 20 talent, reducing that cooldown by 70 seconds. So, yeah, you know what? Oh, hey, cool, guys. I'm going to go take your keep again. And the wall's still up. Doesn't matter. Boom. 25 seconds down the road, I'm going to go across the map and do that again. And, you know, you guys thought, like, split push murky, like, back in the old... I almost said vanilla. Back in vanilla Heroes was cancer. Well, you know, get ready for Junkrat, because he's coming with a rocket to your base.
Like, I don't actually think this is an optimal strategy. And I'm pretty sure it'll get nerfed to do less damage to buildings. It was just... It's kind of a funny oversight, if anything, I want to say. That, like...
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah. Because to me, this is not an optimal strategy, not even close, but it is really frustrating to play against. So yeah, it definitely needs to be changed. But this is the kind of thing that they're usually super fast about changing.
It's so satisfying to watch. It really is. The way he flies back down, it's so funny.
So... It's affectionately called the Junker Coaster, I believe, by a lot of people, especially Kalaris, who enjoys screaming it when you cast the ability.
Very nice.
But Jake, if you want to show off the kit, basically, and I'll go searching for interesting talents that we can talk about.
Okay. So as we mentioned with the grenade, you can shoot it pretty damn far. Did I choose a talent that gives you 3 at once? I haven't played enough of this character. The Qs are so long.
Yeah, at 16. At 16, one of the talents was that.
Dude. Bop, 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 bop. And of course, you can shoot that over the wall. Oh, if you're not bad. And they will bounce quite a distance. Additionally, you can shoot it at the ground and then it will bounce off something. You can't shoot it at the wall and hope it to bounce. It will explode on impact. But if you shoot it right in front of the wall, it will bounce at weird angles. So theoretically, there could be some cool plays made with that. You know, as you're trying to kill someone, shoot it behind, whatever. And that's all super cool. I think any kind of like weird trajectory ability on smaller maps, like maybe Tomb of the Spider Queen with lots of options to ricochet and make cool plays, could be cool. So because your tank's often going to be like, oh, one more hit left on Malfurion. Well, I'd like to kill that Malfurion, so let's get it behind the wall and bounce and kill. Also, the mine, we mentioned that has a ridiculous knockback. It's pretty damn impactful because you can throw it.
So the knockback is further if you're on the edge?
Yeah.
So it's just like Overwatch.
Yeah, but like Look how far it knocks Arthas back. It's so far. Or you travel in your mind like.
So here's what
it's actually insane.
Nothing crazy.
Yeah.
Here at the edge. Pretty amazing, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels really good. It feels very, very much like Overwatch because like you could really chase someone with it. You know, you're just trying to finish that kill off. I wish I could cast my Q while airborne. That's just, you know, he flaps his. They probably had to add that animation where he's flapping like
himself,
where he flaps his arms like a little bird sometimes.
Well, he does, there's other ones too.
He's
sometimes
actually got a variation every time he does it.
Yeah. He does like a Zen pose sometimes. Yeah, there's all sorts of poses.
And like just as like, you know, I play a lot of Junkrat in Overwatch because I'm that kind of scumlord where I just spray and pray, and I hate not being able to cast those Qs, but it's probably balance wise smart anyways. You can't like storm bolt while dwarf tossing his Murd, and which would also be disgusting. His E, the one thing we haven't looked at yet. Sorry, I got occupied with the R. I forgot I could fly, and I wanted to do it again.
Resist.
I had to. He was there. The E, you can drop it, and it can't be destroyed, cannot be targeted by the enemy teams. It's only destroyed when you relocate it or it has been activated on a hero. This is the first placeable item in the game that has that interaction.
You mean like where you can't interact with it at all?
The enemy team cannot destroy it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So, I mean, you put it in the middle of a lane, and you might be like, oh, Junkrat, they're gonna shoot that. No, they're not. They actually know they can walk around it, but in the chaos of a team fight, you could throw it down. Could end up being a nice CC with your team. Does have the long activation, however, so it's going to be hard for that to be used in a lot of cases. But who knows? I think it's pretty nice to have something that interacts in a different way. Also shows you when it is active or not on the bottom side of the map. And there's some weird talents like the Chomp Chomp, and let's pick some talents.
Oh. Okay, so going into talents, the first interesting one we've got is called Bronzer Hits at level 4. So Dunktrain was talking about how, like, wow, that knockback range was ridiculous. This talent, like, turns it from ridiculous to, like, what just happened, actually. Like, it's so long. Like, Jake, complete
You have to complete the quest.
I can do it naturally, or... Dun-dun!
Yeah.
What the fuck? So it's like, all right, I'm gonna go invade the enemy team, guys. Oh, it doesn't work on yourself. It only works on enemies.
That talent is only enemies.
Feels bad. Mouth, hello, hello.
He's busy hitting the deadline. So yeah, that it does take a fairly long time to complete. It's 12 enemies hit, but once you complete it, the range on that thing is insane. There's also another talent, also at level 4, that allows you to increase your max amount of traps on the field to 3 from 1. So that's a cool one, especially with some of the later talents. So the next cool talent, which has generated a bit of controversy already, is at level 13. And that's called Ripper Air. So, Jake, if you want to play around with that one a bit, I'm sure you will immediately have some fun.
Junkrat is knocked back 50% farther by Concussive Mine. Additionally, Concussive Mine's cooldown is reduced by 12 seconds if only Junkrat is hit. Let's turn the toggle off.
We're Genji now, boys.
We Genji, boys. Go away,
You're gonna hit the Mercs and knock at the CDR.
Oh, feels bad, man. See, no, it was all it was all for the description, right?
The distance that Junkrat travels is legitimately Genji sized.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts. I mean, he's an Overwatch hero, right? 2 tower shots, still living. Yeah, new meta for soaking up ammo, boys. What do you think about the Riptire being able to dwarf toss?
It's pretty cool. So obviously, I think the preferred implementation would have been automatically like jumping over terrain or something, without having to like.
I think that's probably too hard to do.
Mess this up, like yeah.
It's not immune to CC, is it?
No. It has reduction though. I think 75%.
Okay. But yeah, Riptide is a cool ability. So the next interesting talent is actually also at level 13, and it's called Chattering Teeth. So it still traps chase enemy heroes.
I've seen this one.
Yeah, I mean, Arthur's... Oh.
It's so funny, and the noise it makes is amazing.
Yeah, it really is. It's a fantastic mini game as well. Of you aggro the thing, and then you just like slowly walk away and like let it chase you across the map.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But yeah, it's a pretty cool ability. The interesting thing about it, like legitimately outside of the sick meme potential, is that it actually increases the effective range of the trap by a fair amount. So if you put it, Jake, like in between the tree below and the like line of bushes, its effective range becomes this choke, because anyone who walks through is actually going to have it chase into them, so you cannot get around it anymore, which is actually pretty interesting.
You can kind of bait its location a little bit as he steps forward. That's too funny, dude. Any other interesting talents you want to see?
So there's another one at 16.
Look at this. Look at the siege range, though. I did want to highlight that. You can just.
Yeah.
Pretty dumb. Granted, this is unlimited cooldowns.
The level 1?
I grabbed random talents. This must be the increased range.
Is it? Like, we better check.
Yeah, all right. Let's reset talents. No talents here? No, that is baseline, basically. You can still see the wall from...
Now take the level 1.
And then longer distance. So it's not actually a huge difference overall. But it is... Roll it in! We'll get that forward eventually. But look at the damage. It's nothing. That's level 21 Junkrat. That's level 21 Junkrat doing piddles of damage.
Buildings, which I'm really glad they added that.
Yeah,
because otherwise it would be terrible. So yeah, the cooldowns at 16, he's got a few of them actually. So the first is called Burst Fire, which is you press Q, and instead of being only one charge, it's just all 3 of them at once. And you can keep moving while casting them. So a decent burst damage, but it does put everything you have on a 6-second cooldown, so it's not necessarily great. The probably more interesting one at 16, which I'm sure Jake's gonna have a great time with, is Spread Volley, which is you activate it, and you activate it by pressing 1.
Whoa!
And your next, until you run out of charges, your next launches a frag launcher, shoot 2 grenades either side, which gets pretty ridiculous here, as you can see.
That's so fun, dude.
So yeah, that's another really fun talent.
Bigger basic attack, frag launcher explodes. So your autos do 50% more splash. It's like a shitty Gilnean roulette or whatever's the is that what it's called? Level 13 or level 20 auto attack buff for Greymane?
I don't remember what that talent is called.
Gilnean roulette might be his level 20 upgrade for Curse Bullet. Shit, what is it?
It is. It's Hunter's Blunderbuss.
Hunter's Blunderbuss. Yeah, this is just a shittier version of that. I mean,
well, it works on his Q too.
It is actually surprisingly decent. So whenever you have these small range radius increases, the huge thing you have to remember is that most of that radius is spent on the model of the thing you're hitting.
You can see how fucking girthy my bombs are. Holy girth!
So as you can see, when there's not very many...
Dude, I don't know why, but like doing that makes me feel like I'm playing Ikaruga or something. If you don't know what Ikaruga is, Google it. and get cold from the sun.
It's only 50%, but it's actually a huge radius increase because the effective size is getting more than 50% bigger.
Mm-hmm.
The skill shot's really interesting because like the minimum range is basically 0, and the balance is like obviously in some cases going to be pretty weird.
You can alt Q and there's a special animation for it.
Oh,
you, like,
fucking pull out of my nutsack, boys.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, I love being zoomed in. Oh, just bouncing off the walls, bitches. Junkrat is such a weird hero. I love it, dude.
So probably the last interesting talent is at level 20. It's Boom Pow, which is when enemies are hit by concussion mines, it reduces the cooldown of it by 10 seconds. Which it ends up being fairly ridiculous.
Yeah, 10 seconds off, 16-second. Pretty good, especially if you go into that mines build.
Especially if you have, you know, some combination where you're keeping them in your team, so you knock them once into the team, then you knock them again, like further back.
Got him. Did you get moonfired midair? Man, my mouth is like, God. I miss my girthy mines. Junkrat. We'll talk more about builds and all of that good stuff next week. He is on the PTR now. He'll be live next week, and he seems pretty fun. I'm definitely intrigued by some of those talents that we tinkered with here. Bakery, thanks for the talent tips, the fun stuff. Obviously, we'll figure out what's meta and if he's even worth playing. While we are on the topic of Junkrat, I guess we can talk about the fact that he was eventually removed from HGC. I know it's not HGC discussion yet, but Blizzard, soon after announcing the patch, they said, by the way, the Blizzard Esports account came out and was like, we will be playing BlizzCon on this patch. That means that all the balance changes that hit live today, the reworks that we're about to talk in of Zul'jin and Muradin, and Junkrat as a hero were all going to be included in the BlizzCon tournament. Now, Bakery, let me inquire, how much has the team already prepared for BlizzCon?
So, like a fair amount. So this entire week we've been scrimming. Day 1 we scrimmed on a completely old patch, so that wasn't very useful. Day 2 we got to scrim with Junkrat enabled, which changed a lot about the draft and about the way games play. And then today we had to scrim obviously without Junkrat because the rulings changed. So, in short, there is not much investment lost. There were 2 days which we didn't get optimal practice, but the good news is that was when everyone was gearing back up, getting to the swing of things. So, all in all, not much lost investment. Still a fair amount, but nothing unmanageable from these patch decisions.
Dunk, as a former pro player, it's been pretty common for a hero to be released and then 2 weeks later that hero is legitimate and allowed. But there was a pretty unanimous outcry across the pro scene on Twitter and beyond when Junkrat was announced to be part of the patch. Were you surprised about this? Is it just because of the scale of the event of BlizzCon?
I don't think it's just the scale. I think it's also the travel requirements. So like Junkrat releases next week, right? The week after that, you get 1 week to playtime, and then the pros are probably traveling into BlizzCon like that week. And there's like opening week stuff. There's so much going on. I don't think, because the thing is, it wasn't actually 2 weeks of practice time. In all honesty, that's just
fair.
True. It just wasn't 2 weeks of practice time. It was like maybe a week of practice time after you factor in traveling to boot camps, like waiting for it to hit live, traveling back to BlizzCon after traveling to your boot camp, like getting set up for opening week tournament, like.
So if
I think it was not enough time.
If yesterday was Junkrat being truly live, then maybe.
Absolutely 100%.
Okay.
Absolutely. I think if Junkrat and the reworks had been pushed to live yesterday, then like the rest of the PTR patch was today, I think absolutely he should have been in. It totally would have been okay. I couldn't have seen any complaints about it being reasonable. But given that it's not until next week and there's like a lot of travel and logistics that do legitimately need to happen, I don't think Junkrat should have been involved. As far as the ruling, like reversing it from the initial stance, I don't really have a strong opinion in that. Like,
I think they did it fast enough where it's okay. I think they responded in a pretty fast time to make it not be a huge issue if you were suddenly grinding Junkrat game. So like, suck it up. Like, let's go ahead, grind Junkrat. Bakery, you said you did 1 day on Junkrat. I don't think that's a huge deal. If they waited like a week and like, by the way, we just had a Junkrat's out, that would be
that's not okay.
PR disaster, I feel.
Yeah. So here's my take on this, is when they announced Junkrat's enabled, I was instantly like, that does not sound great. And that was like, okay, well, I can see why they've done it, because actually, by the time of the finals, Junkrat's going to be out like almost 4 weeks, or like 3 weeks at least. So it's like, okay, so for the time of the finals,
as a viewer, it's weird. As a viewer, it's weird, right?
Yeah, like, it's weird that he's still disabled. And then there were basically 2 weeks if you could play on PTR. And I thought, okay, so that makes sense. It's not my favorite decision. But a lot of other pros had many more issues with it than I did. The thing that I think did cause issues is that Australia didn't have access to PTR. China doesn't have access to PTR. So there was legitimately no way for them to practice it, even though they knew it was coming out with these huge balance changes and reworks that we are playing with. And so I think that was like immediately, like I think we messed up here, guys. The thing that I have the biggest issue with, I think, is that they then pushed it to Tournament Realm. So officially, I don't think China has access to Tournament Realm, but realistically, they do. Australia also has access to Tournament Realm on their home servers. So when they pushed it to Tournament Realm, that was actually okay. People could actually practice on it now. And for the announcement to come out at 2 a.m. European time of like, hey, actually, never mind. Like, we're changing our mind. Like, Junkrat's not enabled. It just felt really weird to me. It didn't feel like a professional $1 million tournament. It felt like kind of an amateur league of like, oh, hey, sorry guys, we messed up. Like, let's just change that.
So in the future, should they consult with HGC players before making that kind of decision? And if it's like,
so I think that was the weirdest thing for me, is that we were speaking about, hey, we're supposed to be practicing. We don't know what's going on with this patch, like when the patch is coming, what's coming with it, like, and we were like, oh, hey, let's just email them. So we email in, and they're like, don't worry, guys, we've got an announcement coming at you real soon. And then so we actually had some like back and forth conversation, and then the announcement was, "Hey guys, Junkrat's enabled," and we're all like, well, how? Like, how is Junkrat enabled? Like, that's not enough time. That was our immediate reaction, and then we started sending in feedback. Obviously, a lot of tweets came out, a lot of complaining. The issue that I have is I just feel like, if you make that decision and you super hardline, this is what's happening, like start making tweets like, you heard that right, like Junkrat's enabled, get everyone really excited to see this new hero, get the players excited to play it and focused on like, how is this going to affect our drafts? And I felt like by the time the announcement was made, hey guys, we changed our mind, everyone was on board with that fact and was excited about Junkrat. Like almost everyone. And then they were like, never mind, we changed our mind. Which, to clarify, I think was the correct decision. Junkrat shouldn't have been enabled in my ideal world. But just the fact that the decision was changed just was not okay for me. Like,
yeah, fair enough. So apparently it's already 8 o'clock. We have 2 reworks to talk about, HGC and then BlizzCon 2017. That topic's not happening. Do we want to talk about the reworks? Do we want to push that?
I think Crucible is more important. So let's do Crucible, see how we're doing on time.
Traditionally on the show, we talk about the patches as they hit live, not so much in the PTR. So we're going to save the Muradin and the Zul'jin discussion for next week, but also it's good because it gives us all more time to experience them. I've only played 2 games of Zul'jin. I haven't played Muradin myself. They are meaningful reworks, and I know you guys are pumped to hear it. We just don't have the time tonight, and we will discuss that in next week's show. Crucible happened this past weekend to determine which teams would survive and which teams will go down potentially and no longer be part of the HGC Pro League. And I think the expectations that most people had ended up being the result. Bakery, were you surprised by any bit of what happened in the Crucible?
I was actually kind of surprised. Okay, so there were two things that would surprise me. So I thought Leftovers would have a much easier time against TGG. If you look at the first two games and then you're like, oh, hey, I'm a Leftovers fan. They are clearly outclassing TGG. It's time to AFK, eat some food, get on friends. And then you came back 2 hours later and so, like, wait, the series is still going on? Like, with game 7? Like, and that was really surprising, to me at least. I think the other thing, it's a bit of a weird one. I was like 45% expecting Heroes Hearth to not make it past Even in Death.
I was worried at some points.
Me too. Like, especially as soon as the first game hits and Even in Death, they just come out and they like completely wipe the floor with them. I'm like, oh god, I'm being reminded of Open Division playoffs. Like, this whole year they've looked so good, but like right at the end they were like faltering a bit. Like I got really scared.
I think Heroes Hearth is a team that has a ton of potential, and I don't think they're anywhere near their highest level. I think this team is going to grow and improve a lot now that they have made it to HGC. However, in the winners finals, of the Open Division playoffs, which were last week as well, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they lost to Imported Support in Game 5, and honestly, they were almost like adapting to like just double support a lot more than they traditionally play. They don't play a ton of double support, but almost every single game McIntyre was on like Tassadar or Rhaegar in that series. And McIntyre, I mean, he's always been a little bit more of the melee assassin at the end of the day, or the off tank, the bruiser, whatever. And it didn't look great. And seeing them lose to Imported there, I was just immediately like, my confidence levels for this team when it comes to them in the Crucible have plummeted. In the grand finals, they ended up winning the series. There was a loss by forfeit in one of the games by Imported Support because a player had disconnected for over 20 minutes at the end of the draft. The start of the draft counts as the start of the game. He was offline for, I think, 17 or 18 minutes. The ruling states that if you're offline for more than 10 minutes, your team must forfeit the game. And there's a whole nother argument that HGC Pro teams are allowed to play with bots, but Open Division teams aren't. That's because the rules are written differently per the league. That's another topic. They got first place. But the other thing to note is that they played McIntyre more on the Dahaka, more on the Malthael. When it came to Even in Death, though, you're right. Game 1, that shit was... Even in Death pooped on them. I was like, is this... What? This is bad. And fortunately, Heroes Hearth clutched it out. But do you think there were any like drastic mistakes in their draft or anything, Bakery or Dunk?
Let me check the specifics.
I personally think there were a lot of mistakes flying around in Crucible.
In all teams.
So here's the nature of it, right? Is there's one team who's playing to not lose lots and lots of money and their spot as a professional player, and there's another one that's playing to like achieve their dream. So both of those teams are like super stressed out. Then you factor in it's at least in the EU, it's a best of 7 that starts at like 9 p.m. or something. So like that's a huge issue as well.
Wait, like the EU match started at 7?
Wait, it might have been 7, might have been 6. Either way, it was a pretty late start, like to the point where it's late enough in the day where it's like people actually should be getting tired, especially when they play a best of 7. So like just the way it works out is like that format breeds mistakes and it breeds choking. And we definitely did see a lot of that. In general, I would say there was a bit of what I call the inbred meta going on, where teams were picking things that aren't actually very good, but they were getting false positives because they were playing at like a different level.
Yeah. But I guess the end result is that we ended up seeing Diamond Skin retain their spot, but we didn't have any sweeps this time around, mind you. Diamond Skin won their spot 4-2. And then
surprisingly good, but not enough.
They performed. They performed better than I think a lot of people expected. Leftovers did win over TGG in Game 7. That was the biggest shocker. Like, just talking to even the Open Division casters, Tetcher and Grubby, they're like, no, this is a 4-0 win for Leftovers. Like, these guys got it. They had such a good season. TGG, you know, they're going to be easy. Nope, not the case. Game 7. And shout out to my boy BKB. Hard fought, man. Hard fought. But there has to be a loser in these situations. For NA, it's pretty much the same story, almost identical actually, where we saw Imported once again. They had to face off versus former Naventic, now Lagif, and identical results where I think it was legit game 1 and 2 went to Lagif, game 3 and 4 went to Imported, and game 5 and 6 went to Lagif. In both Crucibles, and that's got to be freaking heartbreaking to literally make it all that way twice and get 0 out of it. Fucking 0. Feels terrible, actually. But at least we had someone advance naturally, as Heroes Hearth earned the spot from Even in Death. So I don't think there's any huge upsets. I just think I think the community in general is excited to see new blood. Especially, I hope to see Heroes Hearth become a top 4 team in NA, and I think the talent is there. When you look at the criticism from a lot of people, people are like, they're curious about Ishbu and BBJ overall, because they're like the 2 names they don't know. Personally, I think they're both pretty good, but we're going to find out real quick if they end up becoming weak links or not when they're against the best in the region.
Yeah.
Baker, any final thoughts on like EU or any part of the Crucible?
I'm really happy Lauer got in personally. Like I think he showed a lot of potential with Zealots, and moving forward into 2018, I think the whole team has a lot of space to grow. So I'm pretty happy about that. At the same time, over in North America, really happy to see Crow and McIntyre back. Both definitely HGC level players, which somehow missed the boat earlier this phase, I guess. Like they didn't quite make it in, but they proved it. They definitely deserve to be here. BBJ and Isbu, 2 people who I didn't know about. I knew about BBJ because he was on LFM, I think, but I didn't really know much about him.
They were both on LFM, actually.
They're both on. Okay, I mean, I didn't even know Isbu was, but I got to look at them, and I think they both had showed a lot of potential as well. So, yeah, really excited to see how Heroes Hearth does. If they can actually just start performing really well going into 2018, and yeah, really happy that Leftovers got in as well.
I guess my final statement is just I'm personally ecstatic to see Ishbu and BBJ in the pro scene more than anyone. Like, I'm glad everyone earned their spots, but those guys were #1 seed in phase 1 of HGC Open and #1 seed of phase 2 in HGC Open. And phase 1, it was a shitty playoff format where 16 teams singly limb. That is a garbage format for an event that has such high stakes. They lost in the winners bracket. They didn't have that chance for that runner bracket, the lower bracket run back, which again would have been a repeat in phase 2. They came from the lower bracket and ended up being first seed because again they lost in the semis or the winners finals in this case. And that just like that freaking feels terrible to be in that spot. But the fact that Blizzard changed the format to be double elim, smartest thing they've done with the Open Division by far, such a small but huge change, made it so that they could play in the Crucible. They won through the Crucible, confirming that, yeah, some teams lose a series, and they still might be the best team. So everybody has a bad day or whatever. But it's I'm really pumped to see them in HGC. But I think we are just about out of time, unfortunately, because we have already gone 2 full hours plus for this week's show. Big congrats again to all the HGC teams, and we will transition to the shoutouts. I will point out now, again, we will be talking about Zul'jin and Muradin next week at the bare minimum. Any other changes or relevant news we'll be doing as well. On the topic of the team, someone just asked, did Even and Death disband? Because actually, it's good to point out TGG did disband based on what I've read.
Yeah. So the expected is that the team disbands, just to be clear, because you may as well disband. There's nothing stopping you from forming the same team potentially, but you may as well just disband, look at your options. If you come to the conclusion that the same team is the best option, you're going to build that team again anyway. Disband, chill out, everyone go their own paths, and you never know. Like, Even Death might form with like 4 or 5 of the same players, but if assuming no one gets sniped for HGC, of course, because a few of those players did play like, fairly well over the split, especially Lutano, in my opinion.
Yeah, Lutano is. I'd be honestly very surprised if he didn't get picked up. I think he was the best assassin player from Open Division Phase 1. I was really pumped to see him go to HGC, and I think he is an HGC-worthy player. So I honestly would be a little surprised if he didn't end up finding a team, because I'm sure we'll see more roster changes in North America. That's all going to happen after BlizzCon traditionally. Then teams start making their decisions, but it could happen sooner than later. It's always hard to know. CE did have their visas denied, the number 2 seed from China. It is a recurring theme. There has never, in the history of Heroes of the Storm, been a international event in North America where a Chinese team was not denied a visa.
Yeah.
Feels monkas, man.
It does seem to be a Blizzard esport issue. Issue has been in place in Overwatch, has been in place in Heroes. It's not something that we see traditionally in other games. So we do have to hope that somehow, some way next year there can be a solution, because it would be really great to have just one event where China can sharp like full force all their teams.
Yeah, it's really
the thing I will say is I believe there is one more chance to reapply in time for BlizzCon, and if they get denied this last time, then that's it. I think there's still a chance they can go.
Fingers crossed. Send your spirit bomb prayers to CE so we can see them show up to BlizzCon, but we will transition to shoutouts, starting with you, Bakery.
So, shoutouts to Team Dignitas, of course. Shoutouts to my team. Shoutouts to Team Dignitas again for helping us with our Korean bootcamp, which is where I will be this time next week. So I won't be on this year. Thanks to everyone who tuned in. Thanks to everyone who supported HGC, like cheered for teams, all that really awesome stuff. Watch streamers, like, just thanks for your support, and I'll see you guys later.
Dunkelstein.
Yeah, man. Shoutouts to the viewers. Shoutouts to the HGC team. I mean, we're wrapping up. The regular season of HGC is over. The only thing left is the opening week and BlizzCon playoffs, and it was a strong first year of HGC, and really happy that it happened. So shoutouts to all of you who watched it, the guys who made it, and can't wait to see BlizzCon, man.
Shoutouts to you nerds for making this show possible. The viewers, of course, the subs here on Arcane 8, everyone for everything. And of course, the open division teams that played all year long. You know, it's been super fun casting everyone. It's really gratifying to finally see one win against an HGC team, even if it was a team that got a spot by default. But it was, I mean, it's Even in Death won last season's playoffs, right? They earned their spot at the end of the day. And the last thing is like, BlizzCon is coming up, and I am not casting it, but I am involved. I can't say what I'm doing, but I will be working with Blizzard at BlizzCon. It's something I'm personally extremely excited about. It's actually something I've been eager to be part of. So that announcement will be coming up soon. I know it's an announcement of an announcement, but it's gonna be a blast. Opening week starts in what, 2.5 weeks or something at this point. It is coming up quick. That's when all the BlizzCon stuff will begin. and it's going to be good. Next week, we should have a show. We got to talk about the live patch, but of course, if things change, we will let you guys know via Twitter at TownHall Heroes, or you can follow us individually at Dunktrain Bakery Heroes and Solid Jake GG. GG's everyone, and have a wonderful week enjoying the PTR. We'll see you next time.